Okay, we are live. So welcome. If you guys don't know who we are the counselors from Whetstone High School. We're going to talk to you guys today about how to select your courses for high school. We're so excited to get to know you and to work with you. I am blasting some links in the chat for you. One is the course request form for 8th grade, and one is course selection help hub. So we are going to be using the request form, but the help hub, you can just save that for later if you still have questions. All right, and then we'll go ahead and get started.
Here. So this is our counseling team. We love what we do, and we really are excited about the class of 2025. Maybe everyone should introduce themselves so you can see them on camera and hear who they are. So I'm in the middle there, Mrs. Fiascanari, and if your last name starts with M through Q, then I will be your school counselor.
My name is Mrs. Brodegum, or Mrs. B, because Brodegum is rough. But I have students' last names A through E, which everyone knows is the best part of the alphabet. So I'm really looking forward to you joining Whetstone, and then we'll see you coming soon. And just can't wait to get to know you guys.
I am Mrs. Schwab. I have last names F through L, and despite what Ms. Brodegum says, I have the best part of the alphabet.
And I'm Mr. AG, and I have the luxury of always being able to say that we save the best for last, which is R through Z.
Yes. And you see our email addresses listed. Honestly, we always say this, but we are an email away. So we are going to get through this, type your questions in the chat, or, maybe at the end. Also, like, if you think of a question later, just email us. We really want to make sure, like, you feel good, you feel prepared, and like you kind of just, know what you're doing. So definitely shoot us an email. Next slide. Okay. So what do school counselors do? We love what we do, and here's just a little bit. Just for spoilers, it says there, course selection and scheduling are just a tiny part of what we do. We didn't just go to college to make these schedules, though I feel like we've gotten pretty good at it. It's kind of like Tetris, and we own it. And we really want to make sure that you do feel like you have a good schedule that really matches your goals and like your interests. So that's what we're going to do today. But we also, honestly, we focus on your academic success. We do look at that. We want to see you feel good about those grades and where you're going. We also want to look at like your social and emotional needs and just make sure you feel supported in that area always. And then we really want to help you dream, like beyond, just doing the high school thing, beyond feeling good. We want you to feel good about your future. So we really look at that college and career readiness and really help you plan for your future and like figure out who you are and what you want to do. Next slide. Okay, this looks like a lot, and I will say you will see this. We have other forms we will use down the road. These are the basic graduation requirements, and I'm just gonna maybe like just simply see if I can explain it. It's just a nice table, a nice graph. It says at the minimum that you need 22 credits. By taking a full schedule or a pretty full schedule every year, you will blow that 22 credits out of the water. You will end up taking more. And so you can see in 8th grade, any of your, I want to say you call them encore classes, those are counting for high school. Also, if you're in a math course, that would count for high school. So there are certain things. And if you're not sure, ask your counselor, your teachers, or email us. But you are getting some of those credits that will go into some of these categories we have here. So then you look at the top, it says English, you need 4. So that means 4 credits that you need for English. We have them listed. Essentially, it's in English every year, right? Math, it's the same thing. So we have the different courses you would take. Some of you might be in Algebra 1 right now, and some of you are not, and that's okay too. You'll take it next year. But we make sure that you get these 4 math credits out of the way. Same thing then with social studies and science. We have it listed. You'll take world history next year, American history the next year, and then you need government. So that's 3 credits in social studies. Then you move on to science. You need a physical science. A lot of students will take physical science freshman year. Some might go ahead and take biology. And then, if you don't take physical science freshman year, you might take chemistry to count as a physical science. Again, this might sound like a lot, but this is what we do to make sure that you meet all of these requirements so that we can get you across that stage, getting your diploma and moving on. And these 4 years do go fast. So we really make sure you just feel supported and we've got everything lined up, perfected. Academic elective, that next one after social studies and science, that's going to be your bonus social studies or science. A lot of times I'll see seniors take both an extra science and social studies their last year. But as of right now, the requirement says you need an extra science or social studies beyond the other two columns, right? And then you move into physical education. A lot of you might be in gym this year, PE1. That counts towards this, that's worth 0.25. And then you still need PE2, which is going to be another 0.25, which equals 0.5. So you need both of those for graduation. I know some of our students play sports, they're involved even in marching band, and then there is what's called a PE waiver if you find that that does not fit in your schedule because you're trying to do some other things. So if you're in marching band, if you're in a sport, 2 years, then we can go ahead and do what's called a PE waiver. That's also an option. And if you're thinking about that, you could literally, I will tell you, every time I send the link, you can Google Columbus City Schools PE waiver and it'll show you it's actually all electronic. That's something you could think about as you get 2 years done in high school, but you do have to have those classes if not. Health, you will need health. That's just one class worth half a credit. A fine art. So a fine art, and we'll go through all of these. It could be like choir, it could be an art class, it could be a theater class. That all counts as fine art. And then you have technology. That's going to be something based on the computer. A lot of times that could be something working with like Microsoft Office. That could be maybe a coding class. That could be like we have computer science. We also, we have a lot, we'll go through what classes we have to offer, but you need at least one. And then let me move all these pictures. Basically what's left is electives. So I mentioned a fine art, I mentioned a technology, then you need a minimum of 3 electives. What you call encore classes in high school, we're gonna go ahead and call those elective classes. And basically that's just everything else. You will take probably more than one fine art. We're just gonna roll it over then into the elective category. You need a minimum of 3, but as I mentioned, 22 credits, you're probably gonna get more than that because you're just going to take more classes. And again, that's why we're doing this course selection, because ultimately it is most important to us that we find your courses that you choose are the ones you're most interested in, because we really want you to own this high school experience. And like we said, like 4 years does go quickly, and we're going to work it to make sure like you just continue to figure out who you are and what you're made to do beyond this. And it's exciting. So that's basically just an overview. We'll go through the specific courses we have. The last category there is our internship. You can start working on this. You can even, I believe, talk to your counselor. Even over the summer, you can start. You need 120 hours of volunteer. And so that's going to be a volunteer, or if you get a job eventually, they will take hours for that as well. But we have somebody that works here in the building specifically, and he collects the hours, and it could be all kinds of things. We have lists we can share. I always tell students, you know, if you're not allergic to cats, like you could go pet cats at a cat shelter and get hours. There's so many options. You know, we have students that have worked at the parks around Columbus in the summer and earned hours that way. Sometimes you get a job and that can count too. There's a lot of things, but that also ultimately ends in a credit. The stuff on the bottom, I don't know that we want to go too deep into this, but I know students love when we talk about all the testing. There are tests that you need towards graduation, but we'll go through that here eventually. So next slide.
Yeah, we'll work on testing once you guys get to high school. We'll go through all that. I know we don't have too terribly long, so we'll focus on the classes here.
So just really quickly, there's different kinds of diplomas, just as you're thinking about it. Some things to highlight, as we said, you will get more credits than 22 a lot of the time. 3, if you think about colleges really want to see 3 credits of the same world language. So you want to make sure, like, you know, you're thinking about college, we want you to maybe start next year. If you haven't started a world language this year, you want to make sure you get it. And anything that you get 5 years in, whether it's Spanish, technology, social studies, so 5 credits, you would actually be getting a specialization in that area. So if there's something you want to study in college, that's something to be thinking about. Yes, I think those are the highlights from that slide.
Yep, and we'll send this out too. It'll be on the course request hub later today, so you guys can look at this at your own pace too. I know there's a lot of information on here. So I'm going to go over the what ifs and the frequently asked questions because it is kind of overwhelming and scary going on to high school. And we know that you guys have lots and lots of questions. And so we want to like kind of get ahead of some of those for you. And I apologize, I'm not looking like at my camera, my stuff is down here. So I'm gonna look down and read a little bit. But so what if you still have questions after this is over? Don't worry, like we are here to help. You can always email us. And we are doing a support session for new families, including 8th graders and transfer students. We'll go over this information a little bit more and then, answer more questions. That is tomorrow night at 6 p.m. And the link to join that is on the course selection help hub that I've been linking in the chat. What if I change my mind? So you put in your classes today and you're like, oh shoot, I made a horrible mistake. I forgot something. That's okay. Like it's not the end of the world. Just email us. We can fix it on our end for you. We're not placing kids into actual physical classes until like June. So right now, the information that you're giving us is helping us help administrators make our master schedule. So if you want to go over this with your parents later and you don't want to hit submit on the form, that is totally fine. Just try to get that submitted sooner than later so that way we can account for those requests that you have. And then I've had a few students privately messaging me in the chat about this one. If you're not sure that you're going to Whetstone or if you're pretty sure you're going somewhere else, totally fine. If you fill out this form, it's not a commitment to go to Whetstone or anything like that. It just makes sure that we have your request on file just in case you do come to Whetstone. So we would recommend filling this out even if you're thinking you're not coming to Whetstone next year. And then what if you forget what you picked? Well, so we have the form set up so that you automatically get a receipt of everything that you filled out to your school email, which we know that you check every single day, maybe twice a day. So we know that you will get that like right away as soon as you hit submit on that course form. And then if you have an IEP and you usually have specific classes that you're placed into, we will definitely make sure that like all of your stuff matches your IEP, and special education will let us know about that. So just pick the classes to the best of your knowledge and we'll take it from there. And I'm getting some more questions in the chat about, what if you're not sure that you're coming to Whetstone, or what if you think you're going somewhere else? Just go ahead and put in your requests anyway, so we have them on file for us, just in case you end up at Whetstone for some reason. It doesn't hurt, doesn't commit you to going to Whetstone, but we'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it. When do I actually get my schedule? So schedule pickup and schedule viewing usually takes place the week before school starts. So I know it's like a long time, but that is how long it takes for us to get these schedules like really perfect for you. So like I said before, the course placement usually starts in June to make sure that you have, the actual like first period, second period, all of that. And then it will be available to you usually the week before school starts. How long does it take to hear back from us? Usually just like a day or two at most. This week is a little bit wild just because we're meeting with our current students as well. So just be patient with us, especially because this is our first week back with students here as well. So, just give us a little bit of extra time. Don't worry, you're not missing out on anything in the meantime. We're not rushing for seats. It's not like, you're taking you're missing out on anything in the meantime, but we're getting your emails and we will get to them as soon as we can. Okay. And then can I pick the period or the teacher that you want? No, sorry. We love you and we know that's important to you, but we can't do that. It's just kind of the way that it is. Sorry. You just get the schedule you get. And then we are available during the summer via email usually. So the 2 weeks after school is out and then 2 weeks before school starts. And then in a normal time, we usually have open office hours where you can stop by our offices the week before school starts if you have more questions or anything. And we'll keep you updated. We go through this as we go through this time. And then I'm getting some more questions in the chat. Yes, you can always email us or call us if you have questions or concerns about how this whole high school thing works. Like, we're definitely here to help. And Ms. Holmes is also here to help you as well as you're transitioning to high school. So if you have, any academic concerns, but also any or if you're nervous or things like that, we're all here to help and support you. And then we do our best to give you the courses that you request. There are certain things we can't control, like if a lot of the classes you want are offered once per day and at the same time, there's only so much we can do. So we do our best to give you what you want, but we're going to ask you to give us some alternates just in case we can't fit everything that you want. And then our too long didn't read, the TLDR down there at the bottom, is we're here to help and to give you the best schedule possible based on what you request. So everything's going to be fine. We'll work through this together. We do this for us, it's old hat because we do this every year, right? But we just want to make sure you guys know that we are here to help. All right, and I've been linking these in the chat like crazy. I'm going to do it one more time. So everyone should go ahead and open up that 8th grade request form, and we're going to walk through that together. And then the course selection help hub, that's just for you to save for later.
So I am going to try to help everyone start filling out what you need for next year. So hopefully everyone can get into that 8th grade request form. If you're having trouble, feel free to put something in the chat and we will help you. So real quick, just to talk a little bit about what we're going to be scheduling. You're going to be scheduling your 4 core classes: English, Social Studies, Science, and Math. And I know we were saying how we do our best to get you what you need. We will make sure you're going to get the core classes because that's what you need to move on. That's what you need to graduate. If you haven't taken phys ed or health, or you don't play it, or if you play a sport and you're in band, then that's one thing we can use a waiver. But if not, we try to get those in your schedules. And then we're going to ask you to select 4 to 5 electives. You're going to have about 3 of them in your schedule. We want a couple alternates just in case we run out. A couple of them overlap and we can't get you everything you need. Okay, next slide. So the first thing we're going to put in there, and hopefully everyone's on their Google form, is some contact information for you. This is so if we need to get a hold of you, so like if you put down something in, we're like, okay, you put down English 9 and Humanities 9, which one do you want? This helps us to be able to find a way to reach out to you. So what I need you guys to put in is your CCS ID number, your last name, your first name, what's the best way to contact you if we have questions. So it could be an email, a phone number, just what is the best way that to get a hold of you, and where do you attend school right now? So for everyone in here, that's going to be Dominion. We use this for all of our 8th grade schools, so that's why that question's asked, but right now everyone would put Dominion for there. And then after you fill that out, we'll give you a couple seconds because I don't want to rush through all that. But we will then get to our, where we're going to start selecting our core courses. So when you're looking at your core courses, I'm going to talk a little bit about it. When I say core courses, I mean your English, your math, your science, and your history, okay? So we're going to first let you decide what English would you like to be in. Your English and history, we kind of link together. So we've got English 9 and world history. That's what the majority of students take, is they're going to take your English 9 and your world history. Then we have Humanities, English 9, and Humanities World History. That's recommended if you have a B or higher in both of your English and Social Studies classes. It's a little bit more of a challenge. It's more team taught where your English and your history are taught together rather than separate, and it's a lot more project based. So instead of taking more tests and things like that, it is a lot more project-based in that class where you will have 2 teachers teaching it together. So for example, you might, instead of an English class, you might read a novel that is based on something in history and then bring that into your history class too. So that would be an example of how the humanities would be taught. That'd be a little different. There are a few of you, I know that have taken English 9 in 9th grade. I'm in 8th grade, so if you've already taken English 9, so for example, I believe on your schedule it says English 8/9, then you would want to schedule Humanities 10. If you're not sure, that's something we always check on too. We're not going to let you retake a class you always took. So if you put down Humanities 9 and you realize that's what you're taking, we will definitely check on that and we will put you in the proper class. So hopefully everyone's had a chance to fill out what they want for their English. Then we're going to go over to math. If you're looking at your math class, the majority will take Algebra 1. If you're currently taking 8th grade math, your next math class will be Algebra 1 that you're going to click. If you're in Algebra 1 right now, then you're going to be taking geometry. We have something offered, which is just geometry, which is a whole year. If you're really succeeding in math and you need the challenge, you could take what's in our geometry Algebra 2 block. What that means is you're going to have 2 periods of a math class all year long, back to back. So you'll have geometry all first semester, then you'll have Algebra 2 all second semester. So that would take away from one of the electives that you might want to take.
And some of you might, I'm not sure if at the middle school you guys have integrated Math 1 or Algebra 1 on your schedule right now, but either one of those are kind of interchangeable. So if you're in Math 1 or Algebra 1, you would do geometry next. If you're in Math 2, that's equivalent to geometry, so you would do the Algebra 2, I should say Math 3, and then we've got the other there in case you're doing something totally different. Just write a note to us there.
Yeah, so if you're currently taking Math 2 right now, because I know there are a few people that are taking Math 2, then you're going to take Algebra 2 next. And then if you're already in Algebra 2, just click other and type in what you want. Again, just like I said before, we check everything you've taken. And if you put a class down, if you put down geometry and you're currently in Math 2, we'll move you on. And then your last core we're going to be looking at is your science core. You got physical science and biology. Again, most freshmen will take physical science. Biology is more advanced. If you do very well in science and you want to challenge yourself, you can choose biology. We always recommend talking to your science teacher first. They'll be the best person to tell you which course would best fit you. So those are the only 2 options for your science class. I believe there is an other down there just in case, but in this case, most freshmen will take either physical science or biology.
Yep. And then one common question we have is, how do I meet the physical science requirement for graduation if I'm starting with biology? And we'll just have you take chemistry your 10th grade year. So you go biology and then chemistry, and then you'd have another advanced science after that.
And chemistry counts as a physical science credit.
Mm-hmm. Or advanced, yeah.
Any other questions? So,
you want to go ahead?
No, I was going to say we are now moving on to electives, and Mr. Agee is going to take over and talk a little bit about the electives for us.
Thank you. So with PE and health, so all students need 2 PE credits, PE 1 and PE 2, and those are 0.25 each, so that comes out to a half credit. And then students also need a health class, which is also a half credit. So one thing to note, if you are currently taking PE 1, that does count as a high school credit in PE, so then you would want to sign up for PE 2.
And then I'm not sure if Dominion has the advanced PE class, but that's a common question too. The advanced PE class doesn't count as PE 2. So if you have PE 1, great, but I don't think you guys have PE 2 there this year.
And also I'll add in too, if you're in the band and you plan on joining the band at Whetstone, or if you play a sport and you're going to play a sport at Whetstone, then you can look at a PE waiver. The PE waiver will not waive your health credit. You will still need to take that health class. What it waives is just the PE 1 and the PE 2.
Yep. All right, now, so for your electives, so in order to graduate, you need 1 fine art credit. And so you can get this in any of the visual arts, any of the music program or classes, and also the theater classes. Then students also need 1 credit on technology. And then also we recommend that you take a foreign language as well. And again, when you're choosing these, we want you to pick 4 or 5 that you're interested in, because more likely than not, there might be one that just doesn't fit with your schedule. And so we want to make sure that you give us plenty of options so that we can kind of go in your hierarchy of order of what you want first.
And one thing about foreign languages, if you are getting maybe like a C or lower in your English classes and English has been a struggle for you in middle school, then we would recommend waiting a year to start your foreign language and start that your 10th grade year. Again, that was not required, but most colleges do require it. So we do strongly recommend it if that's something that is one of your goals.
So when you're filling out the form, so these are all the options for foreign language. You know, again, if you're already in Spanish 1, then you would want to pick Spanish 2. You know, same thing for French.
So,
You can move to next. Oh, thanks, Ms. Broggham. These are all the options for art and theater. So we have art survey. And if you are taking art survey this year, you can take art 2 your freshman year, or ceramics. Computer graphics is another fine arts credit, but computer graphics can also count as a technology credit as well. We have beginning photography. Then there's this theater survey course, which again, if you're in theater survey right now and you want to take acting 1 your 9th grade year, you can do so. And then these are all of our music electives. So we have the music survey introductory course, basic music theory, marching band, jazz band, which is audition only, orchestra, handbells, basic instrumental music / beginning band, then mixed chorus and mixed ensemble, which is also audition only. Next slide. And then finally, we have our technology courses. So we have the Microsoft Office Suite, where students can get certified in Microsoft Office and get those credentials. Intro to Multimedia, which deals with podcasting, web design, and other different media formats. Intro to Python, which is computer programming, the intro class for that. And then we have our CCP Credits Count technology program, which in order to do, you must meet the CCP eligibility requirements.
This is a 5-minute warning.
All right, thank you. Okay, so again, we want you to list your top 3 electives. That way, you know, again, if one of them can't be added to your schedule, we have an idea of what's most important to you. And like everyone has said before, you know, we do our best to try to get you your top 3, but sometimes it just doesn't quite fit with your schedule. So at the end of the form, you'll see that where you can put your top 3 electives up there. And then there will be an option at the bottom to list any questions or concerns or anything else that you would like us to know. All right, so if you have any questions at all, we still have a couple minutes left that you can put in the chat, or you can always send us an email if it's something that you think about after this presentation has ended.
Yep. I'm going to stop the recording here, so that way people at home you guys can email us with questions, and then students here, you guys can put stuff in the chat or send us an email, whichever.